100 Hell's Angels roared into a quiet neighborhood, their engines shattering the morning stillness, all to save a terrified 12-year-old boy. This is a story that will completely reshape your understanding of bikers. Sarah Reynolds was losing her son, piece by piece. Her 12-year-old son, Kevin, had undergone a profound and disturbing transformation after his father's sudden death from a heart attack at the young age of 41. The boy who once chattered endlessly about dinosaurs and space, his eyes sparkling with innocent wonder, had become a silent ghost drifting through their home. But grief, as devastating as it was, proved to be only the initial layer of their ordeal. Kevin began to suffer from terrifying nightmares that ripped screams from his throat in the dead of night. Then, he inexplicably refused to attend swim practice, an activity he had previously loved more than anything in the world. Sarah noticed dark, ominous circles forming under his eyes, and she even discovered him hiding, trembling, in his closet at 3 o'clock in the morning. Driven by a mother's desperate love and unwavering concern, Sarah begged her son, "Please, Kevin, just tell me what's wrong. What's happening to you?" Kevin, his voice barely audible, whispered back, "It's nothing, Mom." But mothers possess an uncanny intuition, a sixth sense that alerts them when something is profoundly and terribly wrong with their children. What Sarah uncovered next sent a chilling wave of fear and dread washing over her, turning her blood to ice. She found threatening messages on Kevin's phone, messages sent by his former swim coach. This was the same man who had been quietly and discreetly fired from the school due to undisclosed issues, yet still resided just 10 minutes away in a blue house on Maple Street. He kept appearing wherever Kevin went, always watching him from a distance, a chilling smile playing on his lips, ensuring that the terrified boy knew he was being constantly monitored. Sarah went to the police, pouring out her heart and detailing her fears. They responded with bureaucratic indifference, stating that there was insufficient evidence to take any action. The very system that was designed to protect children had utterly failed her son, leaving him vulnerable and exposed. At 2 o'clock in the morning, consumed by desperation and a profound sense of isolation, Sarah typed a message on Facebook, a message that would irrevocably alter the course of their lives forever. "I need help for my son," she wrote, her fingers trembling on the keyboard. "The system has failed him. I don't know where else to turn." She could never have imagined who would answer her desperate plea. Saturday morning dawned like any other, seemingly ordinary, until the first motorcycle, a roaring beast of chrome and steel, rumbled down their quiet street at precisely 9:17 a.m. The sound was so deafening, so intensely powerful, that Sarah jumped, startled, and spilled coffee all over her kitchen counter. One bike quickly multiplied into 2, and then 2 morphed into 10. Within a mere 5 minutes, their typically peaceful suburban street was completely overrun with gleaming, imposing Harleys. Kevin, his eyes wide with fear and confusion, ran to his mother, his voice laced with panic. "Mom," he cried. "What's happening? What's going on?" Sarah, equally bewildered, had no answer. Men and women clad in leather vests were gathering on their front lawn, forming a formidable presence, like an army preparing for a decisive battle. Most wore patches that Sarah recognized from news stories about the Hells Angels, a notorious motorcycle club. A giant of a man, his face framed by a long silver beard, dismounted from his sleek, black Harley and strode purposefully toward their porch. His leather vest was adorned with an array of patches that identified him as someone holding a position of significant authority within the motorcycle club. Behind him, more bikes continued to arrive, their engines creating a deafening symphony of power. The doorbell rang, its chime cutting through the tense atmosphere. Sarah's hand trembled visibly as she reached out and opened the door, instinctively pulling Kevin closer to her side, seeking to shield him from the unknown. The bearded giant spoke in a surprisingly gentle and reassuring voice. "Mrs. Reynolds," he said, "I'm Diesel, president of the North Valley chapter. How do you know my name?" Sarah managed to ask, her voice barely a whisper. "Your post about your boy traveled fast," Diesel replied, his gaze unwavering. "People who care about kids. We pay attention to these things." Behind him stood at least 50 bikers, a wall of leather and steel, and more were still pouring in, their arrival seemingly endless. The rumble of their engines filled the entire neighborhood, drowning out all other sounds. Sarah's voice trembled as she spoke, her fear palpable. "What exactly is happening here? What is all of this?" Diesel explained calmly, his voice a stark contrast to his imposing appearance. "We're here to help your son, ma'am. Everything we do today will be completely legal. Just a show of support for a kid who needs it." He slowly pulled out a business card and offered it to her. It read, "David Kowalski, construction foreman at a company Sarah immediately recognized." Then, Diesel said something that sent another wave of chills cascading down Sarah's spine. "The man bothering your son is a former swim coach who lives in the Blue House on Maple Street. Right?" Sarah gasped, her eyes widening in disbelief. "How could you possibly know that?" Diesel simply stated, "Our community has eyes and ears everywhere. People talk to us, and we listen very carefully when kids are in danger." Diesel looked down at Kevin, his eyes filled with genuine kindness. "Hey there, young man," he said, his voice gentle. "Nobody's going to hurt you today, or any other day, if we have anything to say about it." Kevin stared up at the giant biker, his fear slowly giving way to a flicker of hope. He wasn't hiding behind his mother anymore. A small sign of newfound courage. A police car rolled slowly down the street, its presence adding another layer of complexity to the unfolding scene. The officer inside nodded at Diesel, who returned the nod, a silent exchange of understanding. This confused Sarah completely, leaving her even more bewildered than before. "Officer Chun knows why we're here," Diesel explained, sensing her confusion. "His daughter was in your son's swim class last year." The terrible truth hit Sarah with the force of a physical blow. There were other victims, other scared parents who had suffered in silence, but still not enough concrete evidence for the police to take decisive action. "We're planning a ride through town," Diesel said, his voice firm. "Past the school, past the pool, and past certain other locations." He didn't need to explicitly mention the Blue House on Maple Street. Everyone understood the unspoken message. Sarah asked the question that was burning in her mind, the question that lay at the heart of this extraordinary event. "Why would you do this for us?" she asked, her voice thick with emotion. "When you don't even know us?" Pain flickered across Diesel's weathered face, a brief glimpse into a past filled with hardship. "Some of us know exactly what it feels like to be a scared kid with nobody standing up for you." Those simple words carried the weight of old wounds, of battles fought and scars earned. A woman biker approached, carrying a small package wrapped in plain paper. Inside was a child-sized leather vest, a miniature version of the ones worn by the adults, with a single patch that read, "Protected." "Honorary membership," Diesel explained to Kevin, a smile softening his features. "This means you've got friends now. Lots and lots of friends." The woman smiled warmly at Kevin, her eyes radiating genuine affection. "We brought a bike with a sidecar," she said. "If your mom says it's okay for you to ride with us." For the first time in months, Sarah saw something besides fear reflected in her son's eyes, a glimmer of excitement, a spark of hope rekindled. What happened next was the most incredible procession their town had ever witnessed, an event that would be etched in their memories forever. Over 100 motorcycles formed a parade, a rolling thunder of support, as they cruised slowly through the main streets, while police officers cleared traffic for them, ensuring their safe passage. Kevin rode proudly in the sidecar next to Diesel, wearing his new vest and a helmet that matched, the wind whipping through his hair, a sense of belonging washing over him. Tears were streaming down Sarah's face as she watched, tears of relief, gratitude, and overwhelming emotion. They passed the middle school, where teachers and staff came outside to watch in amazement, their faces etched with disbelief. They passed the community pool, where parents raised their fists in solidarity, their eyes filled with anger and support. They even passed the courthouse, where a judge stood on the steps, watching the procession with quiet contemplation, slowly nodding his head in approval. And yes, they definitely passed the Blue House on Maple Street, their presence a clear and unmistakable message. The message was crystal clear to everyone watching, resonating with unwavering certainty. This boy was under their protection. The parade eventually ended at a local park, where someone had already set up a huge cookout, the air filled with the enticing aroma of grilling meat and the sounds of laughter. Kids from Kevin's school began to arrive with their parents, drawn by curiosity and a sense of solidarity. They were initially scared and hesitant, unsure of what to expect, but they soon realized that these tough-looking bikers were just ordinary people, individuals who cared deeply about protecting children and ensuring their safety. Kevin sat at a picnic table surrounded by his friends, genuinely laughing and enjoying himself for the first time in months, his face radiating a joy that had been absent for far too long. Diesel found Sarah watching her son, her eyes filled with love and gratitude, as she witnessed him actually smile. "Thank you," she said, her voice choked with emotion. "I still don't understand why you're doing this." Diesel watched the children playing, his expression softening. "My little sister was 15 when her swim coach started making her uncomfortable," he said, his voice laced with a hint of anger, telling her she had special potential if she stayed after practice alone with him. His hands clenched into fists, his knuckles turning white. "She told our parents," he continued. "They told the school, and the school said they'd look into it. She quit swimming," he explained, "and suffered from nightmares for years, the trauma leaving an indelible mark on her life." He looked at Kevin, now laughing and playing with the other kids, his heart filled with a mixture of hope and regret. "That was 30 years ago," he said. "And she still has problems, trust issues, problems trusting people. Some things you can't fix in the past," he added, his voice firm. "So you fix them going forward instead. You make sure it doesn't happen to anyone else. Your husband served in the army, right?" Diesel asked suddenly, changing the subject abruptly. Sarah was surprised by his question. "2 tours in Afghanistan," she confirmed. "But how did you know that?" "Half our chapter members are veterans, ma'am," he explained, his voice filled with pride. He pointed to several bikers wearing military patches alongside their Hells Angels colors, a testament to their shared history and unwavering commitment. "Your husband would have protected his son if he was here," he said, his gaze unwavering. "So we're just standing in his place, doing what he would have done." Monday morning brought justice, a day long awaited. Detective Salazar looked at the evidence with fresh eyes, spurred on by the overwhelming support and attention the case had received. Meanwhile, 20 bikers sat quietly in the police station waiting room, their silent presence a powerful statement of solidarity. 3 more families, emboldened by Sarah's story, came forward with their own horrifying accounts about the coach, revealing a pattern of abuse and manipulation. The Blue House on Maple Street was searched that afternoon, every corner and crevice meticulously examined. Police found enough incriminating evidence to finally arrest the former coach, the culmination of weeks of fear and uncertainty. 20 motorcycles just happened to be parked across the street, a silent vigil ensuring that justice would be served. 3 weeks later, Kevin returned to swimming, his fear gradually receding, replaced by a renewed sense of confidence. He had a new coach, someone with impeccable credentials, a former Olympian who understood the importance of creating a safe and supportive environment. 6 of his teammates, who had also been affected by the coach's actions, came back as well, their return a testament to Kevin's courage and the healing power of community. The nightmares didn't stop right away. Healing takes time, Diesel had told her. But they got better, little by little, the darkness slowly fading with each passing day. Every Saturday, a few motorcycles would cruise past their house, just checking in, a visual reminder that they were not alone, that they were still being watched over. One night, Kevin asked his mother a question that had been weighing heavily on his mind. "Do you think Dad would have liked Diesel and his friends?" Sarah thought carefully before answering, choosing her words with deliberate precision. "Your father believed in protecting people who couldn't protect themselves," she said, her voice filled with love and pride. "So yes, he would have respected them. He would have considered them heroes." 6 months later, the former coach accepted a plea deal in court, acknowledging his wrongdoing and attempting to mitigate the damage he had caused. As part of the agreement, he would never be allowed to work with children again, a significant victory for the families who had been affected by his actions. Outside the courthouse, leather-clad guardians waited on their bikes, a silent but powerful presence ensuring that justice had been served. They had kept their promise to see this through to the end, to stand by Kevin and his family until the very last chapter of this ordeal had been written. Kevin ran to Diesel, his face beaming with happiness, and the tough biker knelt down to receive the boy's hug, a simple gesture that spoke volumes. The tough biker's face softened in a way that would surprise anyone who only saw his intimidating appearance, revealing a depth of compassion and empathy that lay hidden beneath his rough exterior. That evening, as she tucked Kevin into bed, Sarah understood something profoundly important, a lesson she would carry with her for the rest of her life. The scariest-looking people sometimes have the biggest hearts, and appearances can often be deceiving. When her son needed saving, heroes arrived wearing leather and riding Harleys, defying expectations and shattering stereotypes. Sometimes help comes from the places you least expect, from the most unexpected sources. And sometimes 100 Hell's Angels are exactly what a scared boy needs to smile again, to find his courage, and to reclaim his life.